Hey guys, what's up? It's Carlos again, as always, with my boys, the Gen H boys.
Yeah,
Billy. And of course, Carlos Salazar with Generation
H.
I think I just kind of picked up from the Red Door guys.
That's where we left off.
That was the last good recording. If you haven't already heard that, go back into our podcast, go back into our iTunes or Spotify, go back and listen to that interview because that was super entertaining. It was one of the more lengthy ones.
Yeah.
But I think that even if we wanted to cut it back some, I don't think that it would have done the interview justice. It was a really good one. So
Could have gone for another 3 hours.
it could have. And I think that, they threw around the idea of coming back. So I think they might.
Yeah, we'll get them back on soon.
So today's topic or question that we're going to ask each other and see how everyone answers is we all have a portfolio, large, small, multifamily, single family, short-term rental, long-term rental. We all have a portfolio that really, we all do it full-time too, so we depend on it for our livelihood. So the question for today is, if someone approached you for your portfolio, and we're not going to talk numbers, but if someone approached you for your portfolio, at what point would you sell at, and what would cause you for you not to sell, right?
Yep.
So we can start with Daryl, because I've been thinking of the question, and I want to throw it out to each one of us, and then of course I'll answer my own. But so if someone approached you right now and say everything that you had in the works, the Airbnbs, say they were finished, up and running, and they were cash flowing to what you think that they would cash flow.
Yep.
Essentially, you wouldn't close. You would give the person a 90-day due diligence for you, like up and running, and then
Get everything
straight with what you have now. Would you sell your portfolio?
So for me, I think it'd be really hard to sell, to be 100% honest with you. I know money talks, and if someone came to me with a briefcase and they said, here you go, this is what we give you, it would be hard for me to say no, but I do think I would say no unless it was the right number. And the only reason I say that, I worked really hard over the last 2 years to build it where I am, to where I plan on that feeding my family for the next 15, 20 years. Now, granted, I'm going to continue to grow it, but I think that where I'm at right now, I finally hit the financial freedom side to where it's going to be hard to have a single dollar amount take me back, because even if they offered you millions of dollars, how long is that going to last? Yeah,
but you have a certain lifestyle now. Let's give it a round number. You guys probably spend $100,000 as a family between mortgages, car payments, all that kind of stuff. So like, if you walked away and they offered you a certain number and you walked away, you could set aside $200,000 to $300,000.
So I agree.
We'll live with that. We'll live on that for 2-3 years. And then restart. But now you have all these skill sets, and we hear all these really strong and powerful entrepreneurs that if you put me in an island and I had to start all over again, I'd be a millionaire in 8 months, right? A year because of your skill set. So even though knowing that, you don't
knowing that, yes, it would be easier to build what I built now, starting today versus starting 3 years ago when I started collecting rentals. I just don't know. It would be hard because I kind of hold a little bit of sentimental value that I worked so hard to build this, to just let it go now, when in 20 years I do plan on letting it go or selling a few of them and so forth. But I just don't know if I could do it today.
So if they gave
today would be hard.
If they gave you market value. Zillow. Let's call it Zillow.
Yeah. Zillow. So Zillow market value, and they came to me with the briefcase.
And you had to pay taxes on your gains, right? Like there was no.
So no 1031s, no none of that.
You can 1031 it, sure.
Because I would love the 1031. Probably 50 to 60% of them I could 1031 into something else.
Yeah.
And that would be a different story, because I would do that because then I could get something bigger. If I 1031 10 properties, I could get a nice apartment complex or something, 30, 40, 50 units versus what I have now. So yes, I think so.
Okay, so
but it'd be hard. It
market
would have
value.
To be market value. I think I would sell.
So market value, you would sell, and you would probably do about 60% of it would go into
1031 into something else, and then the rest would go into cash to, I guess, start over and build.
Okay, so you would pay taxes on that part, and then you would start back to zero. You would have nothing
would be tough,
other than your
other than the
personal.
1031. So then it wouldn't be technically going to zero. Because I would 1031 it and I would still have cash flow, and I would assume that market value for 10 of them would give me enough to go into a 30 unit and still have the cash flow that I have now.
Have you considered what market? I know it's kind of like
Yes.
thrown on you, but like,
Oh, yeah.
you have considered what market? What market would you go into for the 1031?
I don't know. I think I would probably stay here in Richmond.
You're still in Richmond?
Yeah, stay in
Just kind
Richmond.
of reposition
And it's
cash.
only because I'm comfortable here.
Okay.
And if I was a little more diverse and had a few in other places, it would help me and make it easier, but I'm just so comfortable right here.
Okay.
This is my backyard.
So for anything under full market value, you wouldn't sell?
It would be tough, yeah. Now, you hit me a couple 100,000 under market value, I would consider. It would take me probably 30 days. I would let you know in 30 days. Yeah, because I would need it to sit back and really dig deep on what my end goals were.
What if they were in a 1031 situation and they needed to know in a week?
Ooh. It'd be a tough decision. And I've thought about this since you mentioned it, that we were going to have this topic, and I've thought about it, and I'm still speechless because it's such a hard decision.
It is.
It really is a hard decision, knowing that you worked so hard for 3 years to build this, to just let it go for a certain little dollar amount. But market value is not a small dollar.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because we all between a group of us, we all follow our net worth, right?
Oh yeah.
So to think of that net worth and be like, all right, so how would I reposition? Because you're given an opportunity to completely restructure your business.
Yeah,
right?
And it's not a small number. Like it's not like it's just a couple 100,000.
Should we talk any numbers? Does anyone? I'll say my number.
All right, we'll go next
Okay.
year.
I mean, let's be real. It's a couple million. It's not just a little tiny number that if they gave us market value, then it would be pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like now, if it was below market value, of course it wouldn't be.
Yeah, because that's your equity, right? So like,
that's your
I
equity.
mean, you're essentially walking away with 20 years worth of at your same standard of living, no
Correct.
inflation, everything.
Oh, I would walk away with easily 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm 32 now. That could get me till I'm 52 if I wanted to just straight live off of it. Now after taxes, probably not, but
Yeah.
still.
Yeah,
And then does that include realtor fees and all that? Because all that's going to play into a factor too.
Sure.
Because realtor fees on $3 million, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What about
what you got, Dylan?
the old Dilly?
So for me, I wouldn't. If it was market value, I definitely would not sell all
Really?
my properties. Yeah, no, definitely not. It's just all the work I put into it and buying them, fixing them up, and refinancing them, and all that money I put in. I wouldn't want to sell it at market value. And also on top of that, the taxes that you have to pay.
True.
Obviously, you could 1031, but the problem with the 1031 is you only have 45 days to identify 3 different properties, and then if you don't close on one of those properties, then you're
stuck
screwed.
paying
You have to pay taxes, and at that point, like $1 million, like over $1 million, you're in a 50% tax bracket. So now you're selling a portfolio for $3 million, you're only bringing home $1.5 million off of that. So it'd be a lot easier to sell a couple a year and you can pay a lot lower taxes. Or another option would be to owner finance it. But
That would be the smarter way.
But then I would definitely want to go above market for that as well. So if someone, I mean that makes sense. I'm holding the note. So
Sure. Yeah, but you're getting interest.
I'm getting interest. Yeah,
So you're getting interest and you're selling for over market value.
Yeah, but they get the house with almost nothing down, depending on what the terms are. But it would have to be, if they wanted to come to me and buy my house, it'd be 20% above the market value. I would sell all of them.
20% above market.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Because also, it is my business. I mean, it's what I use to live, cash flow and everything.
Yeah.
So if you take that out, I mean, I have to reposition that money. And now with the market at its high, I'm kind of just going back to square one when I could have.
What if you had no? What if there was no tax penalty?
Oh, no doubt. That changes everything.
Yeah.
For that specific year, let's say for that, for that.
You made that sale. You
Taxes,
are.
You have enough tax credits to
Yeah,
wipe
you have
it out.
enough tax credits, or
then
you've had enough losses that you're not getting any kind of gains for.
so I
your
just
entire
get all that money
portfolio.
straight in my bank account.
The entire portfolio.
I'd sell for market value then, for sure.
Yeah.
You would sell it for market
Yeah.
value at that point.
Yeah, maybe a little under market value.
All right, so you would sell. So you would sell your entire portfolio at that point. What would you do with that money?
So with that money, I'd probably be half of it would probably go towards hard money lending to other people in Richmond.
Yeah.
And then half of it would be going towards more buying more houses and trying to rebuild that.
So go back to what you were doing, but then with the other half,
Yeah.
blend it.
Because I mean, let's say with $1 million, you're a hard money. If you're a hard money lender with $1 million, you can make $200K a year.
Yeah.
Pretty like not that hard to do that.
Sure. Yeah.
So I mean, you could take some of that and then with the other half, do the BRRRR strategy or buy some more long-term rentals to get some appreciation and tax write-offs.
See, that's a
Would it
good
change
game
for you?
plan. It
Yeah,
kind of
would it
changes a
change?
little bit because that gives me another idea on top of that because that's a good idea. You 1031 half of your portfolio and you took the other half and just sold them at market and then become a hard money lender. Now you're really not taking that cash flow loss at that
The
point.
what?
Your cash flow loss. You're not taking a cash flow loss because technically you're getting all the cash at once. You have no cash flow now. That eliminates that because now you still have 1031 for half your cash flow, but then you have other cash flow as a hard money lender.
Yeah.
And let's be real, hard money lending is probably our end goal 20, 30 years from now because you have $1 million.
20, 30 years from now.
You make
Yeah,
$200K
that's
a
sooner
year
than that.
just by $1 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a good living.
So you're saying you sell it all 1031 half.
Half. And then the other half
So
you keep
sell
the lens.
sell half
Yeah.
at market value, 1031 half,
Oh.
and now I have that $1 million in
Yeah.
cash to be a hard
Yeah,
money
so
lender.
so the same, except he would send 31, and then
Yeah.
you would just restart.
You would just-
But in that
Restart.
second option, you gave me the option to not have to pay taxes, so we wouldn't need the 1031.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, 1031 is just, in my opinion, just another way of saying I would just reposition that same cash.
Reposition.
Yeah,
right.
You're
Meaning
repositioning
you have to
something
find the
bigger.
same deal in an up market. So
Yeah.
that's why I would want that premium paid up front to be up front because
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go out of my way to try and find a good enough deal because
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna have to pay
You're
above market
You are
to
gonna
get that
have to.
1031.
Especially today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's probably so many people going after the same apartment complexes.
There are.
Yeah.
What about you, Carlos?
Yeah.
I think that for me, if I had to cash out, would I cash out?
Briefcase in front of you.
I would have to say that I'd probably lean in that direction. I'd probably cash out.
With market value.
Just wipe it clean
Yeah,
and start
I'd
fresh.
probably be okay with market value. I'd be okay with market value with no taxes. I think that's a no-brainer for
Oh,
most
of
people.
course. Yeah.
With taxes, I probably wouldn't look to do like 20%. I'd probably be okay with a little more than that, like 15%, 10%.
Okay.
Because even if, because there's still the options of the 1031
Yeah.
and
Yep.
there's still other options, and I could still, being liquid, I could completely reposition myself and make more money on that cash that even though I'm going to get hit with taxes, like be in the same place in like 2 years and a lot more passively, 2-3 years and a lot more passively.
You said you'd be in the same place in 2 years, like
In
same
2 or
amount
3
of
years.
properties. you talking about?
No, not necessarily
What do you mean?
properties,
Same
but
amount of cash flow.
the same amount of cash
Yeah.
or net worth.
So you want to
similar,
sell all yours so you could be in the same place in 2 or 3 years?
but repositioned, right? So I guess what I'm saying is, hypothetically, it's $1 million. I sell the $1 million. I get taxed. Let's do the taxed scenario.
Yeah.
I get taxed. Say I get taxed 40%.
Yeah.
Let's call it. So now I'm at 600. I could reposition the 600. That in 2 years I'll be back at $1 million,
Yeah.
even though I got taxed.
Yeah, but if you're at $1 million right now, why would you want to
Go back, but
Go
it's
back
go
and then
back.
forward. It's like
But
taking
it's
one.
repositioned, right? So instead
Yeah.
of being at $1 million in real estate, I'll be maybe $1 million in lending or $1 million
Yeah.
in what. So it's just repositioned,
Yeah.
right? So I'd be okay with that.
And another scenario is if you 1031, you get the depreciation from whatever major building that you got, which could eliminate a lot of those taxes from those ones you sold.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. You got to
Yeah.
So you
pay.
didn't even. Yeah.
Well, you have to pay depreciation
Recapture?
recapture on all those properties.
Ooh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
All right, so before I sold, I'd probably take a bunch of losses within those 45 days. No, within those 30 days.
oh, as many losses
I'll-
as you can.
I'll
$1 million
see how I can
losses.
Take some L's. Yeah, no, I would sell. I would sell. I don't think it'd be all right. So another level to that question, because we just talked about like our cash and
Yeah.
having that be repositioned, but what about What does that say about our outlook on the market? Does that say anything about our outlook on the market?
I think it does, because it's not getting a whole lot higher than it is right now for a little while.
So that's why I'd be inclined to sell, even not like taking the full advantage of taxes or like the premium, because if things do change and things do get worse, my 600,000, sure, my million, let's call it, is in real estate, but I might lose that 40% or 20% in the next say 12 months.
Yeah, but you'd still be up for what you did if you sold and paid taxes on it, right?
Yeah, sure. So I was 600 plus to 800.
Yes.
Sure. But then trying to sell it in an inflated market where there's probably going to be more homes, there's going to be more liquid, it's going to be a lot easier. So like, that's why I'd be more inclined to like sell, because there might be a greater opportunity. Like, are we really going to get, you talk to all these older guys that have had big portfolios and sold them before. They'd probably, if you ask them again, they'd probably sell it again like 3 months ago, 2 months ago, tomorrow if they could, because they know that we're at the peak or have already passed the peak and we're starting to go down. So that's why I'd be more inclined, even if there's a tax burden there, that's why I'd be more inclined to sell. Because I'd be like, okay, well, yeah, we've probably peaked out. I probably won't get another chance again to peak out and then get somebody to cash me out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more of a, I'm looking at it long term regardless, so I don't really care what's happening in the next 1 or 2 years. These rentals that someone's going to be buying from me are going to be like, I'm planning on owning them for the next 20 years, at least 10, 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's not, so I don't really care what happens next year.
Yeah.
But also, next year or in the next 2 years, they could print a bunch of money and real estate can go up another 20% too. And if you sold, now your $1 million is worth 600 because of taxes.
But then you buy everything at 50%. You buy everything.
No, but the million is now 1.2 million. That $1 million in properties is now worth 1.2.
Maybe it might dip for.
Yeah, it might dip too. But you don't know. It could go up.
But you get the chance to reposition your net worth.
Yeah, I don't know. You get a reposition, but you only get to take home half of it, and then you got to reposition.
Say you take home 60% of it, right? Because of the 40% tax.
Yeah.
Can things sell for 50% what it is now if there's a crash? Could. It could be less.
I don't see it, but it could.
I mean, I don't want to bring up another video that you guys should watch. The one where Rich was talking about how people had $75,000 homes, $100,000 homes, and they'd go to the courtside steps and they'd buy them for $30,000. So it'd be like a 50%. 70% discount on these properties within like months, right? I'm not saying that there's going to be large amounts of that, but like you will have a big chance to buy it at a greater discount later. But if you don't have the cash ready to pull,
so then that goes back to market analysis, because now Carlos is kind of leaning towards, hey, if it does crash in 2 or 3 years, bam, I got $600,000 to buy all of these houses back. But also, to your standpoint, it could go up in the next 15 years, which it probably will, and now you're at a better stand.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, I think that we all see the long end. Like, we all see that over the next 5, 10, 20 years, longer than that, we're going to be on the upside. So that's why we'd all reposition back into real estate to some degree.
Yeah.
Even if I sold, I wouldn't not come back into real estate.
I still don't see why you'd sell it, take a 40% net worth loss, and then just try to build back up to $1 million in 2 years.
Differently.
You're still going to be buying and doing the same strategy, right?
But either way, when you sell in
necessarily.
20 years, you're still paying taxes.
Yeah, you're still.
But either way.
Yeah, but
unless you
I know, but you're getting cash flow and appreciation through that 20 years.
Correct.
With cash, you're holding cash, you're not getting any cash flow or you're getting depreciation, technically.
Let's be real. How long is Carlos going to hold this money? Couple months? 6 months?
Not that long.
Right, not long.
12 months?
But he's saying
Buy a boat.
But he did mention hold the 600 and wait for the market to dip. But that could be.
It could be 2 years.
So that could be
another 20 years.
Yeah. How many people do we know that literally has cash and have been waiting on it to dip for the last 3 years?
Again, they lost on all that interest, all the compound
Yeah.
interest of their money because they're just holding cash.
And I know a bunch of people that sold in 2019 would have never guessed 2021 would have ever happened. Yeah. They thought it was at the top in 19, which it was really good.
Yeah, it was.
So I don't know if you got anything from this. I think we could still argue on it for another 40 minutes, another hour, another 3 hours. There's no right answer. I think that that's a good exercise for people to practice at home. Just whatever you have, if you just have one, is it time for you to, if someone offered you to buy it, if that's the case and you'd consider buying it, give one of us 3 a call, because we'd probably buy it from you at a discount. Unless you're Dylan, because you'd probably want to.
Yeah. He's going to want it for free.
Yeah, 20% above. I saw all mine. Actually, I saw all mine in Petersburg for market price.
Hey!
You're in Petersburg.
If you're in a portfolio in Petersburg,
We'll get appraisals on all the houses, and you just buy them for those prices.
and he picks the appraiser.
Yeah. Cheryl, what's your appraiser's number?
All right, guys. Again, this is Carlos, Dylan, Daryl, and we're Generation. Peace!